Meeting for Tuesday, October 17th to order, please. Roll call.
Mark Castonia.
Here.
Mark Williams.
Here.
Aideen Hess.
Here.
Chris Serbel.
Here.
Deborah Lundberg, Justin Miner, and Beth Pless are all excused.
Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. See how easy that is? Okay. Action on the agenda. Any additions or corrections? Got to give a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Comments from the public? There's nobody here this evening, so we'll move on to 6, action on consent agenda, which consists of the Park and Rec Board regular meeting September 19th, and review park and recreation forestry expenditures.
Make a motion to accept.
Second. We have a motion and a second for approving the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 7, action items. A 2017 Ashwaubenon Lake Report Review.
Mel, why don't you come on up here? Mel's going to present this evening a little review of how Ashwaubenon Lake did for the summer of 2017. As many of you know, it wasn't the warmest summer, so we had a few challenges there. But I think Mel will explain a little bit about how staff dealt with that and how we dealt with that in terms of trying to minimize expenses on a cooler, wetter summer. And Mel, I guess I'll just pass it over to you and you can give your thoughts.
Yeah, so as Rex said, this was just not a great summer. We never had that hot stretch. You know, we get that like 4 or 5 days of beautiful weather. We got it, however, it was in September, so that was no help to us. So that made things difficult. We had a lot of early afternoon showers and things like that, which made us close early. We closed we didn't open at all, a total of 4 days this summer, which is a lot, and we closed early 11. Some of those days we opened to just open and hope that somebody would come and be available to the public. However, we'd end up closing with, you know, after an hour or so with nobody there. So this is more times closing than probably all the years that I've been here, so put together. So that was unfortunate, but we tried to make sure that we stayed on top of things as far as staffing and cutting staff and making sure that we stayed within our means as far as that's concerned. So we have different staffing levels that we cut down to when we have low patron load and stuff like that. So we were really on top of that. So that helped us out budget-wise to still have a profit this year. But if you look at your agendas, the first 2 pages are kind of a summary of what admissions was and concessions was for the summer, and then the final 2 pages are the overall summer totals. So we ended pretty well, even due to our weather. We also, this year, we had increased our admissions by a quarter, and so that helped us also. And our season passes, we raised $5. We did have a lot of rentals this summer.
Just so the people listening, Mel, because they can't really see the sheet, can you just say out loud what the 17 attendance was and how it compared to 2016? So
the 2017 attendance was 25,482. And last year, which was a warmer summer, we had 2746. So we did go down in attendance, you know, over 2,000 people. That I really truly attribute to the weather and not being able to be open as long or have that nice weather that people look outside and think about coming to go swimming. So overall, though we did managed to have, like I said, we had a lot of rentals this summer. Unfortunately, due to the weather, we had to cancel some of those and try and reschedule them, but in the month of August, we had a rental every single day. So those were definitely an increase than in the past is how many rentals that we had for church groups and birthday parties and things like that. So that was nice to see that people were really utilizing that. We are also, for this coming year, proposing that the lake rental fee be increased, just based on staff costs and needs, and the rate of lifeguards has gone up. We increased our lifeguard pay, and so all things need to kind of follow in line when we do something like that. So currently to rent the the lake is $120 for a village resident for 2 hours. That gets you all the lifeguards you need, and the lake is essentially yours for $120.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite the deal. So we're suggesting a $50 raise to $170, which is still a great deal to have the lake to yourself for 2 hours, inviting as many people as you want for a party or a church group or whatever, whatever's going on.
That's with a standard lifeguard staff, and then if they have an exceptional amount of people, if we need to put in more lifeguards, then they pay for additional guards.
Right, we would do the upcharge based on how many lifeguards they need. This gets you 5 lifeguards and a supervisor is what this gets you. If you were to do a large church group or a large, gathering there, we would obviously need more lifeguards. 9 lifeguards are a full staff, so
So
5.
when they rent it, do they get their catered in, or do they open the concession stand, or what do they do?
If they want the concession stand, that's an additional cost. So no, it is strictly just the lake and access to the lake. If
So-
they want to do some food or something like that, they can do that out in the park. They can grill out
Okay.
or whatever, but no, nothing on the beach.
Okay.
We don't allow any sort of food on the beach or anything like that. Try and keep the critters and the seagulls and all that at bay.
Sure.
Otherwise, it'd be everywhere. So yeah, but overall, I think that we had a good summer. I think my gauge of a good summer is how safe we keep the lake, and that is my number one priority all summer. And we had 23 saves this summer,
That
and
just amazes me.
that's a
I mean,
low number for us. I think that's
It's low.
amazing. That's very low.
Serious.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So that was a great number to see, which means the lifeguards, that means that 23 times my lifeguards had to jump in and swim to somebody to help them. But that doesn't count all the times that the lifeguards tell the kids, hey, you can't swim, you gotta go back, turn around, that preventative lifeguarding that we really, really push. So, yeah, 23 was a great number to have this year. But yeah, that's how I gauge the summer. Nothing, no serious incidents, no nothing. We had a really great summer, and that, to put that kind of responsibility in the hands of 16 to 18-year-olds really shows how well they perform. But we practice and we have trainings every single week. They work very hard to make sure their skills are where they need to be. The lake is kind of a different beast than anything that they normally train in. They get their lifeguarding class in a pool where you can see the bottom. The lake is not that way. So they learn all the different, key signs to watch for, because kids don't yell for help. It's the bugging of the eyes or the paddle that's not necessarily going anywhere that these, kids watch for and really have learned to master. So, like I said, 23 saves and no serious incidents, so we're very proud of that. That being said, I don't know if any of you guys have any questions on any of the other stuff. We did do some partnerships this year, which I think bring in a lot of people that maybe wouldn't try out the lake or haven't experienced the lake before. We partnered, I think last year was my first year partnering with the Brown County Library, and so they have kind of like a read it program where if the kids read so many hours, they get a chance to either get a pass to the Green Bay pools or a pass to Ashwaubenon. And so we had 509 kids come through using those Brown County Library passes. That's all over Brown County, so we had kids from Wrightstown and all those areas coming in and using it. And then we do also work with the schools for the Bike to School Day, and kids get passes to the lake for that too. So, and we had 107 of those Bike to School passes come through. But yeah, so overall, I think that it was a very positive summer. Yes, our count was down, but like I said, Mother Nature, it's, either she's on your side or she's not.
I think that's pretty good, 1,500 or only, that difference, I mean, after, with the difference that you had here, and it still made money, so. The only question I got is this the only year we've had lake supplies?
No, it's not the only year we've had lake supplies. I have no idea. Rex had brought this to my attention, so I thought that was odd that neither one of us had caught that we put that in there this year, because unfortunately, for some reason, it hasn't been in there before. But no, we've always had lake supplies.
So what are lake supplies compared to like chemicals and water and all
So-
that other stuff?
I just separate out the lake chemicals so you guys can see what that is, but that technically is in my lake supply budget. The other stuff that goes along with that are rescue tubes and microphones and walkie-talkies and cleaning supplies, and we have those theme days, so, you know, when we have Pirate Day, we need prizes for the kids. Those kind of things go into that lake supply budget.
Okay.
Melody, I appreciate your scrutiny on making this a little more organized and finding that. The question I have is, you preface some of the numbers that, the original numbers that you had were a little different than the final numbers because of cash register malfunctioning or human error. Is there a reoccurring problem with cash registers, or just human error?
No, so sometimes if they don't, the register only prints one receipt. So if they don't know that the register roll is like down to nothing, it goes to print a receipt and then nothing comes out. And so then all of a sudden, our whole day's worth of, you know, tallies and stuff like that aren't there. And that happens on a very rare occasion. I think it happened twice this summer. But those do change our numbers, you know, and along with, in the admissions, at the office, at the Park and Rec office, we sell passes. So those aren't on our cash register at the lakes. At the lake, and along with a lot of places we invoice, so a lot of the groups and the daycares and things like that that bring in money, we end up invoicing them, and those numbers don't get onto the register. That's just handled internally. The money gets deposited in the account. So these numbers that are on this final lake page are the numbers that I get from our accounting system and from Greg as the final numbers that have come in money-wise. But the ones that are on the first page and then the concessions, that's coming strictly from the register. So that's why the numbers are a little different.
Okay, all said and done, and the only thing that you're really requesting as a result of this report is an increase in the lake rental fee from 120 to 170?
Do we need that approved?
They can recommend it,
Yeah.
sure.
Then, yeah, a recommendation to increase that rental fee.
That being said, then I'd like to make a motion to increase the lake rental fee from $120 to $170.
Okay, do we have a second to that?
Could I ask,
Or we get a second for that first? Hold on, Chris.
okay, I'll second it.
Okay, discussion?
What hours are available for the rental?
After hours, so the lake closes at 6, so from 6 to 8. I have had a couple rentals earlier before we open, before 11, but traditionally they're usually after, except on Wednesdays, because on Wednesdays we're open from 6 to 8 for more of a family swim, for anyone that works later.
Sure.
But lots of football teams and, you know, after church groups, like I said, they use that time frame, which is really fun for them.
Birthday parties.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a motion and a second to increase the lake rental fee from $120 to $170. Is there any other discussion on that?
It's hard to compare that because there are no other lakes. Okay.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Oh, I had one other, I was just curious on the passes that are from the bike to school, and who funds that? Is that funded by, like, the school district and the library, or is that funded at all?
It's
or
not
is that
fun,
just-
no,
okay.
it's more of a
We just give out the
giving back,
passes.
Give up.
yeah.
And the way we look at it, Chris, is, let's take the Brown County Library passes, for example. Most of the kids aren't coming to the lake from Ashwaubenon, so they're probably coming with some friends or bringing their parents.
Oh, sure.
So we're getting the revenue from those folks, and quite honestly, none of them, I don't say none of them, probably quite a few have never been to the lake before, and if not for that free pass, they would never really know about the lake, except
Right.
maybe hearing about it. So to us, it's a good way for them to get exposed to Ashwaubenon, and hopefully if they have a good experience, they'll continue to come back as a paying customer.
Okay. Alrighty, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We will move on to discussion on PRF temporary administering Ashwaubenon youth soccer.
Or you can stick around for that
Oh.
if you want.
Okay.
If you want. This is more of an information item, but if anyone has any feedback, we certainly are wanting to hear that as well. Ashwaubenon youth soccer has struggled the last couple of years, especially in 2017, in terms of finding the board members necessary to make it a viable organization. Where you're talking someone like AGSA for girls softball or AYB, they've got anywhere between 10 and 20 people on the board. I think Ashwaubenon youth soccer this year is probably run by about 3 people. When you have a fairly large organization, in the just 2 years ago, we were probably at around 350 kids. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving pieces of the puzzle. And we're not sure of the reason why people weren't signing up, but 3 people were not able to handle the youth soccer organization this year. So what David Rohrig and I did, and we received a number, probably the most complaints about anything we've ever had before, and at least in the 12 years that I've been here. Been here that long? 12 years, yep. Yeah, time goes fast. So that being said, we had to kind of right the ship a little bit. So basically what's happened is we have taken the youth soccer organization under our wing, per se, and we are starting to put different new board members in place, trying to increase those numbers and get things going. Melody, whose daughter is in Ashwaubenon Youth Soccer, that's why Melody is still here, actually volunteered, on top of all the other things she does, to be the new Ashwaubenon Youth Soccer president for the co-sponsored organization. And as such, she's using a lot of her contacts and people that she knows and trying to fit people into the different positions so that everyone has 1 or 2 simple things to do, which makes it run so much easier rather than 3 people having to do 25 things each, which I think was some of the issue. As such, with some of the financials, I mean, we have found in the box of stuff, there were checks that had not been deposited since spring. There were invoices that had not been paid since spring. Just things fell through the crack. And so right now, we're trying to get through all that, make things right again, and then we're going to fully, and David is doing that. David's working with Melody on the financial aspect of it. And then once the new people are in place, all the volunteers, it's all going to be run, as it always was and should be, by a completely volunteer organization, with us just being there for advice if they ask. But for right now, in terms of financially and stuff, we're working with it. We're setting up a new registration system that's easy to work with because the registration system crashed. And there were some issues with things being deleted. And basically the numbers dropped this year from 350 to barely over 200. And that's a huge drop, huge drop. So we're going to try and get some of those numbers back up and get the organization whole again, I guess. And I just wanted to bring this forward only because it's not the first time the department has had to, I don't want to say take over co-sponsor organization, but basically run it until we can put new people in place again. But it doesn't happen very often, and before rumors start to fly of what's going on and things like that, it's just we're trying to get more people involved through the contacts that we have, and get things in order for the new people when they come on board, that they've got basically a clean slate and easy to pick up and run with things. So just wanted to get that out there in a public forum such as this, let people know that.
Okay.
Rex, what is the procedure in doing this should the expenses wind up being more than the deposits? Whose liability is that?
That's going to be the Ashwaubenon Youth Soccer. It's not. The Ashwaubenon Youth Soccer has a fairly healthy bank account, so the expenses aren't going to, they're not going to be anywhere near, quite honestly. They'll have a nice starting point again to go with. And it wasn't dozens and dozens of checks, but it was like, half a dozen checks, that we found in piles of paper that for one reason or another just didn't get cashed. So we're just trying to write all that stuff. Liability-wise, it would be the Ashwaubenon Youth Soccer Organization that has responsibility for it, but because of our connection to them, the village could be liable at some point. But we also have insurance for each organization should anything happen, per se. They're covered. But
And the only
we're not anywhere near that, Dean.
Okay, the only other question I have is once we get these board members on board and sanctioned or certified by the village, is there going to be some type of contingency plan that there needs to be updates given to the village in terms of how they're proceeding and meeting their obligations for the co-sponsorship?
That is already in place, per se. I mean, those are already written about how there needs to be, I mean, we knew about a year ago that things weren't going the way they should be because the procedures that are supposed to happen weren't happening. So we were kind of monitoring it and dealing with the calls that came into our office. And Sue, I mean, I know we had probably at least 50 calls that came in.
Easily.
So then, is the team that's being sponsored, is there like a biannual report that they have to give to the village as part of that?
Don't usually have staff member at one of their board meetings and everything
do.
too, Rex?
Yep, David
I mean,
David
so, I
goes
mean-
to those board
All right.
meetings.
Yeah, I mean, because I know that they go to the AYB and
And
AGSA
David was
meetings
assisting them throughout the year,
Yeah.
trying to help them. In fact, he's got the registration system back up online. I don't think they even had registration started until February, mid to late February, and typically that would be starting like January 1st. So I know they lost kids in
Okay.
that respect.
So there is an oversight process?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We require them, and there's a whole list of co-sponsored rules, but yes, we require them every month to hand out paper copies of their financial reports to the boards. Numbers are reported back to us. David is the representative. He doesn't go to every co-sponsored meeting. He kind of concentrates on the larger ones unless there's some kind of issue that's been reported to us.
Are those co-sponsorship rules, are they the same for all the different organizations? Is it a
Yeah.
standard?
Yep.
Could we possibly, or could I possibly have a copy of that for the
Sure.
next meeting? Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
And basically, there's simple rules of organizations of who does what and who provides what. And a lot of it is, a lot of the additions of what some of the, I don't want to say rules are, but what some of the policies are. It's just like a bullet point item of all the different things that have been decided at the park board level, with who's, allowed by residency, how many board members are allowed, to vote, that type of a thing. Everything that has happened here at the park board level is on that sheet. And then, since I've been here anyway, and then the date that came into effect, just so people know that we're not making some of these rules up, that they've actually gone through a process.
Okay, good. I hope everything turns around here and gets on track, I guess, so.
It will. I mean, it
Yeah.
will.
You got a tough job ahead of you, 'cause
I know, it's a rebuilding year. Work with me, it's a rebuilding year.
just watching
But I
my
am going
kids,
to.
just watching my kids recently go through high school and now on to college, and talking to the parents that our kids are still in high school now. And we were involved a lot with our kids in their sports, things like that, and helped out as much as we could. And 10 years ago, we didn't have this issue in the sports. But it slowly crept in where you get less and less people
Yep.
willing to volunteer. And it's still, that trend is still going down. That's not going to be an easy one to climb out of.
Well, I'm happy that I do have, with with all that I do with the village, my swimming lesson kids and parents that I've seen working with them, those kids all follow, then they play soccer, or they play football, or they play, so I see these parents, in different places, so I've made friendships and things like that with a lot of them that we sit on the sidelines at the soccer games together. So when I volunteered to do this presidency, I was hoping to get some of those parents that now I've, gained friendships with to kind of get involved and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that, intertwining between all of the things that I participate in will help, so. But rebuilding year, I'm working on it.
Good. Anything else? Thank you again.
Thanks again, Mel.
Thanks.
Okay, PRF department reports.
Cliffstein Fitness Trail is installed. The slabs are in, the equipment is up. The only thing we're waiting on are the sponsor signs, which are still a work in progress, but people are using the trail. It's right behind the community center. We see them every day. We have a lot of people just simply walking that little loop. And so that's great to see. And you would think, well, where would they walk otherwise? Well, they like the park, and they're just continually walking loops through the park. It's wonderful to see. Playground work at Sand Acres, we had some stuff going on there, some slides that were replaced, which were all under warranty. This is the time of the year, I know I've talked with a few people where the Canadian geese are becoming a little bit of a nuisance. We have purchased a few more coyote decoys, which tend to make them nervous and go away as long as they're moved around on a regular basis. They are starting to like Cliffstein Park, so we've been very diligent there because we don't want to establish that site as a nesting spot for any geese. So I've gone out there myself chasing geese away. I look at it as, if they're not comfortable there, they're going to be going somewhere else, and that's what all the articles say, so I don't mind going out. We don't mind going out there chasing them once in a while. Sue was out there this morning a little bit, shooing them out of the parking lot and trying to get them to fly away. You need to flap your arms a little bit more, Sue.
Yeah.
Recreation classes are going well. There's some different numbers there. Dance and Pom, a lot of individual type classes are going on. Learning in retirement, LIR, which is, there's a new acronym for that group now, LLI, Sue, is that what it is?
Mhm.
LLI?
Learning and
Lifelong,
Lifetime learning. Lifetime learning.
okay.
lifelong.
They are a huge user of our community center, and they're renting out the room probably several times a week for different classes and programs that are going on there. So to the point where we probably need to start advertising that group in our brochure, because there's a lot of neat things and programs and seminars that they've got going on that anyone in the Green Bay area can participate in, but and it's really great during the day because it brings people into the community center, and it gives us, a nice little rental stream during the day as well, having all these different classes and programs going on in there. I know we're going to be doing probably community center report quarterly, but we're still going gangbusters on permits. I know just this past weekend we had 6 paid permits on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're filling it up. A couple of weddings, baby showers, and it's like that every weekend. I think finally I see one weekend in November, I think right before Thanksgiving, where that's like the first open weekend we've had since the spring. So that's been wonderful. A couple of things with aquatics, a couple of nice awards. One of them's not even on here, I'm going to say this first, is Ken Bukowski has won the Elected Official Award from the Wisconsin Park and Rec Association for being the fundraising chair for our community facility projects. And that was awarded to him or will be awarded in November at our state conference, along with the Outstanding Facility Design Award for 2017. Melody submitted that nomination to our association, which went up against other great pools. Appleton had a whole rebuild of their pool. There's 1 or 2 pools down in Milwaukee that were attached to high school pools, to high schools, excuse me, that were competing against us, and our pool was chosen. So it was a very nice honor, and Melody will be receiving that award on behalf of the village, coming up at our state conference again in early November. First session of fall swimming had 153 kids. We would have had more if not for the lack of instructors. Almost all the swim instructors this last session were our guys, because this girls' swim team is in session right now. And we have quite a few female instructors as well. So once swim team season ends, which should be within a couple of weeks, I think conference is coming up in about a week and a half, and then sectionals shortly thereafter, we'll really be able to make hay
Rick.
with more lessons.
On that note, I'm going to just stop for a second here.
Mhm.
The last meeting, Dean, you asked for numbers as far as girls swim club,
Correct.
and Beth sent us the numbers of the participants. Ninth graders, there's 6 kids, 1 open enrolled. 10th graders, there's 3, 2 open enrolled. 11th graders, there's 2, 1 open enrolled, and 12th, there's 9 that are, and 2 are open enrolled.
So it's a team of 20.
So I just wanted to throw that out there so that I made sure they got reported, so. Okay?
Yep. Moving on, as I said, we just hosted a fairly large Ashwaubenon Swim Club meet last weekend. Several hundred participants. I think they had about 200 kids enter in that meet. We were hosting the WIAA, the Fox Valley Conference meet coming up on October 28th, and I believe we've also been awarded sectionals for the girls coming in early November. So we've got some big meets coming up, and again, it's the first time the Green Bay area has been awarded those. We've never had that opportunity before, so a good feather in everyone's cap getting those to come to Ashwaubenon. Forestry, Tim's just plugging away. It's that time of the year. I mean, we're doing a lot of cleanup work in the parks, neighborhood street tree planting program, the fall tree planting that the residents can sign up for. They've gotten all their requests into Tim, so he'll be doing the fall tree planting projects, and the trees have been ordered to do that. Are there any questions, I guess, on any of the items on the benefits report,
One
or
question.
things that are not on there?
The one question that I got is on the trail system that's running from down Morris and Argonne and Lombardy. I see that they put it in blacktop. I mean, is that a trail or is that considered sidewalk then?
That's considered trail. And because it's that, and then considered trail, we can use some park development funds for that.
Okay.
Part of the trail does go up and around the parking lot in Argonne, so it a little more meandering versus just a straight line type of a thing. I believe they've got, from Morris, they've got it paved all the way to the woods just south of Cabela's. There was some wetland issues that were being worked through. We just got the approval a week or 2 ago from the DNR with our plan, so that work will soon be done. That's the last portion of the puzzle, I guess. And eventually, but we have to wait and see how Titletown develops with the homes on Brookwood. But eventually, our thought somehow on one side of Brookwood or the other, or however it works out, from Cabela's, not from the store itself, but from the sidewalk in front of Cabela's or the trail, it'll go somehow up Brookwood and then kind of merge into the Titletown district. So that'll be the funnel, basically. But we're not there yet, just we need to wait and see how the Titletown develops along with the condos that are being built and whatnot.
Okay.
With regard to the survey that's put out by Brown County with regards to the Brown County Fairgrounds, I would encourage anybody to fill out their survey if you haven't done so. It's quite interesting, particularly putting in our concern with regards to the Fox River Trail connecting.
Yep.
So.
And you can go to the Brown County website, to the Parks website, and they'll have a link there, or you can go to the Ashwaubenon Park and Rec Facebook page, and there is a story there, along with a video clip. I believe it's from Channel 5. But if you just click on that link, there's a link in the link to go right to the Brown County survey as well. Basically, and Dean, I'm glad you brought that up, as part of the sales tax, again, that's good, what's going on, there's going to be money set aside put for redoing Brown County Fairgrounds. And it's not often that gets done. I mean, I don't think the Brown County Fairgrounds has changed, other than things being torn down.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything, I mean, other than the grandstands being torn down a number of years ago. I mean, it's the same as when I was a kid. And so they don't get a chance to do things very often. So they're trying to figure out, how does the Brown County Fairgrounds evolve? Do you have specific horse barns that are rebuilt, that are used once or twice a year, or do you have more of a multi-use building that has portable things inside, so that building can be used for multiple things? That's one of the things that they're thinking about. How does that affect Ashwaubenon? Well, of course, it borders one of our boundaries. It's only a quarter mile away, if that, a couple hundred yards. But the big thing is, there's a lot of discussion on a Fox River Trail on our side of the river. And we already have part of it built. That was just going to be Ashwaubenon's, from the marina down to the old Schneider lot on Broadway. The thought is eventually we're going to do some kind of pedestrian bridge and loop a trail through Ashwaubenon Park. But part of the whole plan, looking at Brown County and Ashwaubenon and De Pere, which owns part of the fairgrounds, is to have a trail connecting everything. And we've talked about that before. So now Brown County is kind of getting on board, and they need to make sure that they're comfortable with the need and desire of the Brown County residents to do something like that. So depending on what your thoughts are, whether you think that's a good idea, not a good idea, if you got other ideas for, riverfront amenities, for building amenities, there's starting to be a lot of people camping there due to lack of RV parking during Packer games. So they're looking at potentially, one of the things they're looking at is expanding RV parking there. That stuff are all questions on this survey that you can kind of sound off on and give a thumbs up, thumbs down, or put in some of your own ideas.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Is there anything else that's not on here, or items for next agenda or anything? Anybody? If there is anything, we don't, it's in November, right?
It would be I think the week of Thanksgiving,
Okay.
if we have it.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. We'll get some supper.